In Chapter 2.7, we're going to look at graphing absolute value functions. So the first thing I want to do is just look at what's called a parent graph. A parent graph is just the basic function, and then we can do anything we want to. We can make it wider, longer, skinnier, flip it, scale it. So there's a lot of different things we can do, but this is the basic function. So we are going to graph this. And for just this one alone, I'm going to do a table of values. And I'm just going to pick, I'll pick 5 points. I'll let x be all the way from -2 all the way to +2. You can pick any x values you want to, but these are the easiest. So think about it. If you plug -2 in for this x, the absolute value of -2 is a +2. Okay? Absolute value of -1 is a +1. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Absolute value of 2 is 2. So it just turns any negative number into a positive, and then the positive numbers that you plug in stays positive. So we're going to plot these 5 points. -2, +2. -1, 1, 0, 0. 1, 1, and then 2, 2. Now the graph is going to look like this. You can tell it's just two lines connecting at what's called a vertex. Okay, this point right here is what's known as the vertex. Okay, you also got what's called an axis of symmetry. An axis of symmetry is what splits this graph directly in half. Okay, that's my axis of symmetry. And in this case, the axis of symmetry is just x equals 0. Okay, because it's just down that y-axis. Excuse me. So what we can do is we can put things in front of the absolute values. We can put things on the outside, inside the absolute values, and all that's going to do is just shift this graph or flip the graph or change the width of the graph. And you can see they're all going to look similar to this parent graph, but they'll be adjusted slightly. Okay, so let's look at a somewhat easier one. I'm not following the book, but they got similar examples. Let's say I had y equals the absolute value of x plus 3 and then plus 2. Now, this inside here is going to shift the graph left or right. Okay? This part right here is going to shift the graph up or down. Okay? And all that's going to do is this vertex that was located at 0, 0 is just going to change. Okay? And it's very simple. The vertex now is always the opposite of what's on the inside. So that's a positive 3. The opposite of that's a negative 3. And then whatever number is on the outside, which in this case is just a 2, will stay a 2. So you notice there was no numbers in here. This is really x plus 0 and then a plus 0. That's why the vertex was at the origin. But opposite of the inside, whatever's on the outside. So my new vertex is -3, positive 2, which is right here. So my graph shifted left 3 units, up 2 units. Now, the number on the outside of the absolute value is the same. This is really just a 1. Okay, that's why I went up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1 on both sides. Okay, so the same thing here. There's just a 1 out here. We don't see it, but that's just a 1. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1 on this side. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Up 1 over 1. And that's really all I need. Draw my lines, and you got your graph. The vertex is at -3, 2. The axis of symmetry, which splits that graph directly in half, is at x equals -3. And that's always going to be the same as that number right there. Okay, so let's do one that's a little bit tougher. Let's do y equals -1/3, and then x minus 2 plus 1. Okay, so the vertex is no longer at 0, 0. Now it's at the opposite of this number, which is at positive 2. And then whatever this number is, which in this case is a positive 1. So my vertex is at the point 2, 1, which is right here. And then from that graph, we are going to do this number here. Now this number has changed. It's negative, which means we're going down 1 over 3 on both sides. So down 1 over 3. And then from that same vertex, go down 1 and then over 3 to the other side. Draw your line, and you got your V. You can tell a lot of things happened here. The graph got wider because my fraction is smaller, and it also flipped. Instead of being a V shape, it's more like an A shape. That's because of this negative sign.